Looks like this week ended with a upward turn in the metals, the Dow, the Nasdaq, the S&P, and the crude oil. So the entire metals group and everything was up for Friday. Now I'm not going to get into any kind of charts or anything like that because sometimes they do tell you a story. They do. I mean, I'm not going to knock it, but I'm going to talk about some other things and angles on things that I think will forecast the direction of the metals in 2012. Now, what I think is that we're going to see. Yeah, I know today was an upward turn, but I think in for this year, election year or no election year, there is an election year as a fact, we're going to see the metals go up, and we're going to see the commodities go up. The reason being is, I know in most cases the president doesn't want the food and energy prices and commodity prices to go up in election year, so it's bad for an election. But I don't think that there's a lot of other forces out there that could care less about Obama's political survival. I think he's pissed off too many people, and so we're going to see commodities go up. Now, I did find it interesting because I look around at all the people that talk about these metals, like silver mainly and gold somewhat. Nobody talks about palladium or anything platinum except me, I guess, but whatever. And I do want to state again, if silver flies up all by itself and platinum and palladium are sitting down really low with all these shortages, I'm going to just interject this right here, right now. Something wrong. To me, that means I'm going to sell that silver garbage because either you're going to run together approximately or they're not going to at all. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. But anyway, I don't want to get off subject here, but I want to point that out real quick. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're all going to go up at the same time. But I think Obama's political survival is in serious jeopardy, and there's a lot of people he's pissed off. Like, for instance, when Obama got elected, right? I should probably put a picture of him here up someplace, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Here's the F-22 Raptor. But when Obama got elected, he was basically put in office by George Soros. It was Hillary Clinton was really looking really good in the primaries, and of course, that dysfunctional husband-wife team is a political machine. It's dysfunctional as husband and wife, but it's very good as a political machine. The Bill and Hillary Clinton team. She was going to win. She was going to win the primary, probably win the election. But George Soros made sure that Obama got in. So that's the guy that's always been pushing Obama all along. So, and one thing we know a little bit about with George Soros is that he does not like the United States. He thinks the United States basically is a big bully in the world, and he thinks the United States needs to be pushed down extremely, down to like nothing. So they're not a problem anymore. But George Soros is definitely not in the camp of a lot of other people that are very powerful in the United States. So, and I don't want to get too much. I don't want to get into politics here, but I want to get into predictions. And, whether you agree with George Soros or not, it's a matter of, people live here in the United States, and, if you think the oil interests are evil, which I think they are too, you would have to, not side with George Soros anyway, because he's against the USA, and that's pretty much hands down. You don't want to bother with a guy like that. That's no good, period. Put it in simple terms. But, what I think is coming up here, where there's going to be a serious curveball, is that there's more and more talk about a strike against Iran. And, I highlighted this because recently, today, there was news stories out that they're sending these top-of-the-line Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor fighter jets, stealth with stealth technology, the best the United States has, within striking distance of Iran. And there were some, thoughts that, does that mean we're going to attack Iran? And the Air Force is vehemently denying that means they're going to attack Iran. So, whatever. But, these rumors have been going on for quite some time. The Israelis had the bunker busters last year or so, over a year ago, and people were speculating that, they're going to attack right away. Maybe, maybe not. But I think the one way to predict this attack probably is to look at, I I think they're looking for a presidency change too, and a war. I don't know. I don't know. I think, well, it could be that I think the one thing that's hands down that may happen is that the commodities will go up. And when the commodities go up, the president might be ousted. So that's a good reason to hold silver and gold. And another reason is the tune of all the silver and gold bugs is so low right now that I would expect that in other words, their market sentiment is like rock bottom right now. I would expect that the metals are going to start going up too. There's usually a good barometer of which way direction the metals will go. They start cheering really, really, really loud. Be wary. It's probably going to have a correction coming up pretty soon. You know, you can always judge by how loud they scream which way the direction of the metals is going to take in the short term. But I want to highlight this one article. This is actually from powerlineblog.com, and it's written by Paul Meringoff, and he's actually writing an article that was actually printed in the Foreign Policy on Foreign Affairs and Council on Foreign Relations back a couple months ago, recently. And I actually highlighted this article and talked about it a couple months ago. The title of the article that appeared in Foreign Affairs that this blog is talking about was called "Time to Attack Iran," and they openly stating, you know, what they want to do. Normally, when something appears in Foreign Affairs, which is the flagship publication of the Council on Foreign Relations, it does become actual policy. That's why it's an important article. It's like it's not just somebody wrote something, it's some other little paper someplace. When it appears in that publication, a lot of times it becomes policy. So I want to highlight this article. Actually, this goes on. It says the case for U.S. attack on Iran. And it goes on, you know, talked about the expense of it, but it says if you don't attack it, the U.S. would be compelled to contain Iran. This would require vast amounts of money and expensive commitment to the region. So it's going to cost one way or the other. One way or the other. And Koenig, who was actually the one that wrote the article in Foreign Affairs, who was an assistant professor of government at Georgetown University, he argued that all but one of the key facilities are above ground or vulnerable to U.S. bunker busters. The only exception, the facility at Qom is not yet operational and has little nuclear equipment right now. If the U.S. strikes soon, it won't need to destroy this facility because it's not operational and they can get rid of everything else. So Israel actually stated, you know, many times, and you know, that Iran, it's like they have a window of opportunity. It's like it can be taken out now. They can be taken out. You wait 6 months to a year, maybe they're not going to have a nuclear weapon, but you're not going to be able to take out the facilities that easily at all. You're not going to be able to do the job. They do it now, they set them back very hard. And the second line here, although I have highlighted in yellow, I'm kind of referencing, talking about this article he wrote, Iran won't want to push the war too far, since doing so would put the regime's military capability and the regime itself at risk of being destroyed. Now, I want to relate this to something that I actually talked about over a month ago, that there was an Air Force general. I'm not going to give the reference because I get tired of getting a pull up, but there was an Air Force general that publicly stated that they have drawn up plans, they already have plans to attack Iran, take out the nuclear facilities, and not only take out the nuclear facilities, but do a regime change and take out the Revolutionary Guard, the army, the whole thing. Just knock it all out. So it goes far beyond the actual nuclear facilities. So, you know, that really contradicts this one little line, because actually, you know, if I'm aware of that, I'm sure the Iranian regime is aware of it. So they're going to go fight tooth and nail for survival. So I don't think they would care too much about the war widening. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Finally, Koenig considers the objection that Iran could simply rebuild its nuclear capability following an attack. He notes that neither Iraq nor Syria did so after their nuclear capability was taken out. That's true. I think when this attack is done, it's going to knock them back. And he says Koenig believes that we could set back Iran up to 10 years, and a lot can happen in 10 years. And, I think that's the important thing to consider. And, I mean, even if you set them back a year and a half, that's a big difference. That's a big difference. A lot can happen in a year and a half. You're buying time. And it's not so much that it's Iran, it's the fact that you do have some really radical, religious, fundamentalist people that are running that country that, despite the propaganda out there, it's a very, it's something like either you're a convert or you're not. You're one of us or you're not one of us. There's no tolerance in that country, and by the regime. Now, there's other people. There's a lot of people in the country that are tolerant, but not by the regime. And I mentioned about the Baha'i sect that I was familiar with through the foundation, through Rabini Trust, that I'm very familiar with. That, how they got persecuted in Iran because even though they accepted Islam and Muhammad, they accepted other religions. Well, the religious fundamentalists in Iran hated them for that reason. And that's the group that's in charge. That's the type of people that are in charge in Iran today. So, and I also want to point out again, Iran is not going through all this garbage, trouble, and economic expense to get some nuclear material so they can make some electricity. That's ridiculous. That's ludicrous. Because they're sitting on enough materials in the world, as far as crude oil, conventional natural gas, last them 100 years. Whereas, like uranium, it looks like it's running out inside of a couple decades. So I don't know why they'd be doing all this, but some people insist that they're innocent, but I can't see it. Anyway, as long as Barack Obama remains president, I believe the issue of a U.S. attack is purely academic, because he's going to stop it. That's why I think this guy's political future is done. He's pissed off the oil companies. He's pissed off Israelis. People have interest in Israel. He's also pissed off a lot of people that have a little common sense that realize that, despite propaganda from Russia Today and Max Kaiser, whoever else is out there, about Iran being all innocent and the banksters are after them, go buy silver coins. They're not the regime in Iran is not a nice bunch of nice people. I'll guarantee you. Just go look at Amnesty International. And I'm not going to show all that stuff. There's plenty of stuff out there, and it's not. They're not a bunch of saints. So I mean, I don't know what people are. They're like not looking at the right direction on everything. It goes on to state that Obama will not approve an attack on Iran. If Mitt Romney replaces Obama, then it will be time to decide the issues raised by Koenig. I think there may be some kind of war coming up before, though. And, I mean, Obama could do what he wants, but he's either going to be on the side of the United States or he's going to be side of Iran. That's the way I say it. And he's going to be forced to choose. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think this issue is actually coming to a head a lot sooner. It's not going to come to a head after an election. And in any case, I think we're going to see more heating up of the commodities because, that was always that little adage that commodities don't heat up too much during election year because the president wants to get reelected and he wants to keep prices down during election year. Well, I think there's a lot of other people I can care less about Obama's reelection because basically he's showing where his loyalty is. His loyalty's with Iran, That's the way I'm looking at it. His loyalty's with Iran. I don't really see this guy or George Soros, whose loyalty is not with the United States at all. So, I'd have to state, that I think this war is going to come up before the election. And in any case, we're going to see some more heating up of the commodity prices. And so hold on to the gold and silver, but don't go too excessively in it. And if you got like 401ks and all this kind of crap like this, you don't have to dump all your money into physical metals like the sky's going to fall. I don't think the sky's going to fall just yet. It may someday, but if you did, you really should be buying physical food and investing in 20 years worth of food or some garbage versus 20 years worth of metals, because one is a little more important to the sustainability of life than the other. But anyway, I do expect that 2012 is going to see a major upturn in the metals, and Obama is going to have a tough time being reelected because he's proven that he is basically a guy that's in the hip pocket of George Soros, and he's not really interested in survivability of the United States. So I don't think he's going to last.